Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me for my review of the 2017 film It Comes at Night, directed by Trey Schultz and starring Joel Egerton. And this movie really surprised me. I had heard some pretty good things about this film, but it actually exceeded my expectations, which is always a good thing. Now, It Comes at Night would be considered a horror movie, but I would say it's just as much a psychological drama, which, when done well, is one of my favorite kinds of film. And this one, for the most part, works really, really well. Now, I will say, if you're into blood and guts type horror movies, this may not be the movie for you. But if you like more of like psychological type suspense horror films, I definitely recommend It Comes at Night. So, a basic plot synopsis of this film: there's basically a family of three, a father, a mother, and a son. And it turns out the world is overrun with something. They never really explain to us what it is, which is fine. It doesn't need to be explained. I'm actually glad there's not a lot of unnecessary exposition in this film. One of the things I really like about it. But it's making people ill in some way, and they're trying to survive. And, some things get, some tension builds up when they meet another group of people, another family, and things just go from there. So there's a lot of good things about It Comes at Night. One of the things is that the acting's solid. Joel Egerton, an actor who I think is very consistently good, is very good here, but all the cast is excellent. The film is very moody and atmospheric. It's very edge of the seat. I actually thought there was a lot of tension in this film. It is a little bit of a deliberate film. There's not a ton of plot in this movie, but it works. It's very creepy and moody and builds up to the climax effectively. But what really makes this film work for me is the characters. They felt very real, and I really cared about the situation they were in. None of the characters come off as one-dimensional. They're all multi-dimensional. The film doesn't tell us, this person's great, this person's terrible. They're all complex characters who do things that, for the most part, feel realistic to the situation, just trying to survive. Some other things, the technicals are solid. Things like cinematography and editing work, but the score is really effective. It's not overbearing. It's pretty subtle. And there's a lot of parts of the film that are pretty quiet. This works very well. I always say I think sound is a little bit of an underrated part of film, and I think it's used very effectively here. Another thing that I really like about this film is that it's not preachy at all. This is one of those films that could have went for a lot of statements, but it just lets events happen naturally, and it lets the audience think for themselves, which I always appreciate and relate to as a viewer. And another thing that this film does that's very good is it stays away from a lot of horror movie cliches. There's not a lot of jump scares or things like that in this film. This isn't a perfect movie, though. There are a few slight complaints I have. I did say that the movie stays away from a lot of cliches, but unfortunately there are a few of them. There's, one character has dreams, visions, whatever you want to call them in this film. And while they do work in relation to the plot, so I can somewhat forgive that, they don't really add that much to the plot. I thought maybe this character could have been set up in a different way. This part really didn't convince me that much. It doesn't kill the movie, but I did think, like the whole dream sequence or whatever it is, could have been handled better. And also, a few plot points do come and go in this movie. Like I said, I'm glad they don't explain everything about this movie, but there are a few times when it feels like things happen just to further the story, and then they're never really gone back to. It's like, why were they necessary at all? But overall, I think It Comes at Night is a very, very nice effort. Very good directing by Trey Schultz, and very good acting. This is one of those subtle horror films that builds up. It's deliberate, but not slow. I always say there's a difference. It's deliberate in the way that it kept me involved, even though there's not a ton of plot in this movie. And the movie is only like 91 minutes long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is another huge thing for me. Right when the movie should end, it ends, in my opinion. So overall, I do recommend It Comes at Night, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Definitely a movie I recommend if you like psychological horror films with some drama mixed in. So 4 out of 5 for It Comes at Night. And as always, thank you very much for watching.